Hi, I'm Supervisor Don Kanabe, and I'm pleased to welcome you back to another episode of Dialed In. As the largest county in America, we have a responsibility for serving over 10 million residents in 88 cities and over 140 unincorporated areas. Our neighborhoods are made up of people of all ages, backgrounds, ethnicities, all with very unique needs. And that's where our Department of Community and Senior Services comes in. From adult protective services and senior centers to legal assistance and job training, the Department of Community and Senior Services is truly a jack of all trades, offering programs to encourage our residents to be independent and, most importantly, to enhance their well-being. For our young adults, there is a Summer Youth Jobs Program, which is one of the most successful jobs programs in the entire country, putting over 40,000 young people to work since 2006. By working hand in hand with community-based organizations, Los Angeles County is able to improve the quality of life for all of our residents. This month, I'm pleased to welcome the Director of Community and Senior Services. We'll also highlight an issue that's very important to me, and is job training for our young people. I'm pleased to have one of our largest summer youth jobs employers, as well as one of our incredible young workers. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome back to Dialed In. Our first guest today is the Director of the Department of Community and Senior Services, Cynthia Banks. Cynthia joined the department in 2003 as Chief Deputy and was appointed Director in 2006. In her role as Director, she is responsible for many of the delivery of services to the citizens of Los Angeles County and our safety net, including employment and training, quality of life programs for older and disabled adults, the Human Relations Commission, and overseeing the regional workforce investment boards, which provide the subsidized employment opportunities for our citizens, like my 10,000 Jobs program. Thank you for joining me today, Cynthia. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
We sort of know you not only as director, but we call your department the jack of all trades.
That's true.
And you do a lot of different things and impact the lives of a lot of different folks. Maybe you can begin by just sharing some of those things that you do, and then we'll get into some specifics.
Okay, well, you know, our department really is a jack of all trades, but what we do is we save lives on many different levels. As you mentioned, we oversee the senior programs within Los Angeles County. I'm very
supportive of senior programs.
And as the days go by, I'm very interested in them as well. We provide those services such as the Meals on Wheels programs, the congregate meal sites. We have senior and community centers where our community members can go and host meetings and just socialize. We also have services for those who are unable to make it to our senior centers, such as case management, legal services for seniors.
So you have staff inside some of these centers?
Yes, we do. We do have staff inside those centers. We also have contractors that work with us to provide meals at other senior centers throughout Los Angeles County. Within Los Angeles County, there are over 150 senior centers. And most of our work—
150?
150
Wow.
of those. Many are municipally run, but our services go out to those centers to provide services, exercise programs, English as a second language, other kind of classes, educational information that is shared in those centers as well. We also have adult protective services where if there is a claim of abuse of anyone who is 65 or older, or anyone who's 18 and older who is a disabled adult, we will go out and investigate the claim. We work very closely with law enforcement as well to address those issues. Workforce is a major part of our work. We work with the community to address needs of finding employment, working with the business sector to determine what jobs are needed for the future so that we can do the training of individuals who are looking for jobs as well. Our Human Relations Commission works in situations where there are racial tensions in the community. Tomorrow, I believe, in Long Beach, there's going to be a press conference where there was a racial attack on a Muslim individual. And so we're going to be there to provide some services to the individuals who are part of that particular
So we
action.
facilitate using the Human Relations Commission.
Yes, we do.
I know I've used it in several areas of my district as it relates to some gang issues and
Yes.
facilitating, folks moving together and working together. So,
Right.
and can you give us an idea? I think sometimes the people just see the two of us sitting here and we're talking about we do this and we do that. How many meals do we serve on a daily basis between Meals on Wheels and the meals at the community centers? Do you have any idea?
I think it's probably like 30,000 meals a day.
30,000 meals a day, folks. I mean,
Yes.
that's a whole bunch of food and saving a whole bunch of lives. And I know I've talked to some of the Meals on Wheels people, and they become friends. I
Yes.
mean, and they almost become like librarians at times too. They bring a book plus a hot meal. But it really, I mean, when you go out and see some of the delivery process, you understand how important not only that food and nourishment is for the individual, but there's a lot of lonely people out there. And so it's not just delivering of food, it's a friendship, it's a voice. So it's a very important piece. 30,000 meals, that's a lot.
And you're so right, Supervisor. In our community and senior centers where the meals are served, we know that because of the socialization that the seniors have that their health is better, they have less depression, and they're able to do more with their lives.
Well, because you not only have the services there, like
Yes.
the legal services or social services or whatever they may be, but you have games. You
Yes.
have the ability to put trips together to museums or
right.
things. And it really, I know when we built our new center in Hacienda Heights, the day we opened, we were overcrowded.
Yes.
Within a year, we had to add on to it.
Right.
And it became an issue of the seniors just poured in.
Right.
And so it's a very, very important service. Elder abuse, I joked about it earlier how, respectful I am of senior issues, but that's another big issue in our county.
Yes.
That doesn't get a lot of attention, fortunately.
Yes.
But it's a very important role that your department plays. Maybe you can go into a little more detail of a situation. 1-800 elder abuse, right?
Yes.
So somebody calls that. What's the process?
The process is that they will speak with a social worker who will determine what the need is, if it's an immediate need or a need that we can address. We have a policy where we will address calls within 72 hours, and we will send a social worker out to investigate the claim. Many times what we find is that there are reports from a sibling, from the adult sibling of the abused person, because the children may be the abuser. We find that there's a lot of financial abuse. We work very closely with the banks. Banks and financial institutions are now mandatory reporters. A large part of the claims that we get are financial abuse. But we know that as adults, different than the children that are dealt with in DCFS, the adults have the right of refusal of services. I have been witness to a number of instances where there's a sense of shame on behalf of the adult that they have been taken advantage of.
Right. I mean, that's a huge issue.
Yes.
I have a 94-year-old mother, and she's very sensitive to that. And so I just said to Mom, just don't answer the phone, kind of a thing. But when a situation like that plays out, it is a lot of times financial. There is abuse kinds of situation. But you also have now the difficult issue because of the sort of coming forward is dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Where there may have been a call, then there may not, and there may
Right.
really be abuse. So the job becomes more difficult, doesn't it?
It's very difficult, and we constantly give our social workers training to address those issues. We work very closely with mental health and with health services as well. We have a group of individuals from mental health called the Genesis Group that will come out, and when we suspect that there's a mental health issue, that will come out and do an immediate evaluation so that we can make the proper
What's it
assessment.
called, the Genesis Group?
Yes, the Genesis.
I learned something new today.
Yeah. Well,
No, seriously. I mean,
Okay.
I knew that they had the wraparound services,
Right.
but I really didn't know that they had a specific name.
yeah, Genesis.
So part of this jack of all trades, we're
Yes.
getting a little bit more. You are also a peacemaker
Yes.
throughout the county with dispute resolution. Maybe you can tell our folks how that works briefly, and then how they could access that service.
Okay. We have a number of trained mediators that can go out and address disputes that you may have with your neighbor or with a local business. These mediators are free of charge. They're funded through state-funded dollars, and they will come out and work with individuals to try to mitigate a situation so that you don't have to go to court.
So it'd be like debts or small claims?
Small
or
claims,
the whole thing.
or if your tree is on my side of the property and it's dropping leaves, those kind of things as well.
Really?
Yeah. And we also work in the high schools. We have youth mediators that will mediate disputes within high schools. So they're trained through the agencies that we work with. Those services can be accessed through our telephone number 510-2020, or you can call 211 and they will refer them.
So one of the great dispute resolutions that I had to use the services of your department was I had a gentleman that built a pizza oven too close to the wall, and the neighbor didn't like pizza or the smell.
Yes.
And you actually, they went out and got everybody to work together and move the oven, you know, that kind of a thing.
They do great work, and they have a passion.
Right, and I'm not trying to make light of it because it's a very important service, and it really saves people money that, you know, a lot of the folks that get involved in these situations don't have a lot of money to begin with.
Right.
So this is an opportunity to sort of do it in a very peaceful way.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of time left, but one of the big areas, and we're going to have some folks on later in the show to sort of go into greater detail about what's going on in that, but youth employment, that's a big area that I know you're passionate about, I'm passionate about, and another area that your department oversees.
Yes, and I have to thank you personally, Supervisor Kanabe, because long before this time, you have been interested in the Youth Jobs Program with your 10,000 Jobs Program. The other supervisors have come along with you as well. This year, we're so fortunate to have $24 million.
$24 million.
$24 million.
I'll tell you, that Board of Supervisors are visionaries.
Yes, they are, as you well know.
But I mean, how many kids are we going to put together? I mean, I know since 2006 we put 40,000 to work.
Yes.
What is our goal this year?
This year is 12,000 youth.
And I understand we've like 5,000 through April or
yes,
May
we started early because of the funding that was available, and I have to thank our partners with Department of Public Social Services with using CalWorks dollars as well. We started the program in April. As you well know, it's not like when we went to school when all the kids got out in June and they go back in the end of August or September. They get out at different times of the year. And so we were able to start the program early. And we've employed over 5,000 youth already. We're just midway during the summertime. We're planning to use the dollars that we have available to us to keep kids employed through October or even later.
Wow. Well, I know also for all ages, you also are involved in job search and training kinds of programs for everyone. Maybe give us a little idea how that works.
Throughout the county, we have what we call work source centers. And those centers are facilities where anyone can walk into who is looking to find a job, to upgrade their skills, to get an assessment of their skills, to have classes on resume writing, find out what job placements are available. We work very closely with the Employment Development Department so that we can place people at the right place at the right time. We also work closely with the local businesses to make sure that, as I said, I think I said earlier, that we are training people in the right areas for the future. As part of our youth program, we are emphasizing the STEM program, which is science, technology. It's big, it's huge.
Math and everything else.
All of the math, so that our kids have that exposure to what they will need to know to be productive in the future.
Because it's not just a job, it's sort of a first step into a career.
Yes, it is.
You truly are the jack of all trades. I mean, we've gone through a few, but there's still even more in the department. But I really want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today and sharing some of the things that are going on in your department, a very important department because, as you know, the county is a safety net.
That's right.
And there's no greater services from old to young, and so I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
When a child is born, it should be the happiest time in one's life. But for some, It's just too difficult to handle. Think before you do the unthinkable. There is an option. Don't abandon your baby.
Hi, welcome back to Dialed In. My next guests are Walter Neal, Government and Public Relations Director for Tesoro Refining and Marketing Company, one of Los Angeles County's most dedicated partners in our Youth Jobs program. We also have one of our young workers, Lauren Ahn, who is spending her summer working at the Tesoro facility in Carson. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Kanabe. We appreciate the invitation.
Well, I'll just start with this. Tesoro, Walter, your company is a great corporate citizen, not only in this particular area, but in many other areas and community-based organizations. But we're going to talk specifically about the Summer Youth Jobs program. So how did you get involved, and when did you get involved?
So I've been involved in the Summer Youth program for 22 years since we started the program. And Don, as a company and as individuals, we recognize that it's really very important to make that investment in youth, and especially during the summertime when they typically don't have things to do.
So how many young folks have you hired this summer?
This year we have 38 young people working at the Tesoro refining facility.
Well, I was there when we had the little press
Yes.
conference announcing everything, and a lot of happy folks there. And
Yeah.
say, in the last 22 years, what do you think the number has been that you folks have put through your training programs?
Oh, it's been hundreds. We've ranged from the first year we had 65, and then that number actually goes up and down depending on the need that we have. So it's been hundreds and hundreds of youth that we've employed for the summer.
Amazing. So what's the process for hiring one of our young adults?
It's really fairly simple. We have a great team of volunteers at the refinery that get together to prepare for hiring each summer. We put flyers out at high schools, in the career centers at high schools. We encourage the kids to fill out an application, and then we go through each application that's filled out and interview every youth that fills out an application.
Every one, wow.
Every one of them, yeah.
I mean, that's a lesson in life right there, the job
is.
interview.
It's an educational experience for all of us. It's an opportunity for us to see what we have in our community, see the type of youth we have in our community, and then to interview each one of them, not just reading their application, but interviewing each one of them really gives you a sense of the great kids
Well,
that
it
we
must
have in
work
our
well. I was
community.
very impressed with your cadre of young adults that you
Yeah.
had there at the press conference. And one of those that hired is Lauren, who's here
Yes.
with us, and she's going to be a senior, as I understand, at the California Academy of Math and Science next year.
Yes, I am.
How did you find the program, and how did you get involved?
Well, actually, I had a friend who participated in the program before, so she told me how wonderful it was for her and how it set her forward for the colleges that she was applying to. So I was just like, why not?
So what
I
is there?
applied.
So what do you do every day? I mean, is there a particular area that you wanted to get into at Tesoro, or?
Well, in the beginning, I really looked forward to learning more about environmental engineering, and I got a position under the environmental engineering department. So I got to learn more about what we do there and what environmental engineers do on a daily basis. So the more I spent time there, the less I found myself more interested in it.
So I mean, what do you do every day? I mean, you just is it specific things, or is it all training, or is it?
It's
you
actually
have-
pretty specific for an internship. So there's about 8 people there that work specifically for the environmental engineering department, and they asked me to categorize different waste profiles and environmental hazards. So we get to do that, and we go water testing.
So you, it helps you in a career standpoint. I mean, in other words, sometimes you go into an internship and say, find out I don't really like this, but
Yeah,
in your
definitely.
case, it's sort of enhanced what you would like to do in the future. Is that correct?
No, it's the opposite. I went into the program thinking that, hey, I'm gonna major in environmental studies and all this stuff when I go to college, and I participated in all these different activities there, and I realized, wow, I do not have the attention span for this, and I should invest in my time somewhere else because.
Well, that's good. That's what you. So what areas, Walter, are some of the young people working in?
So we have, we're fortunate to have an operation that has so many different trades associated with it. And what we try and do, Supervisor, is match the youth with something that they would like to do, or at least see or get a taste of what it's like to work in the real world. So we have everything from the environmental department to the safety department to our medical department. It could be our pipe and weld shop, our maintenance department, operations. There are so many different fields of opportunity for these youth to take advantage of.
So the second day of our internship, we were given a survey that asked pretty much what we wanted to do at Tesoro. And Deborah Cannon, she's in charge of the program, so she explained like thoroughly what different departments did. So we had to understand what exactly we wanted to do.
Did you get to pick then, or you picked before?
We picked before we started, so we were matched beforehand.
So why do you think it's important for, I'm going to ask both of you the same question, why do you think it's important for these young people to be involved, and why do you think it's important that you wind up where you are? Walter.
Supervisor, as a father, I know the importance of teaching, developing, and supporting youth. So I think it's a huge, important undertaking for people to make their companies available to hire youth for summer, and then to continue on and teach our youth all of the life skills that they may not learn in school, but give them practical, everyday experience for on-the-job experience.
To me, that's the most important. I have interns in my office as well, too, and I think there's nothing more important than not just sitting there answering the telephone or something, but very on-the-job kinds of thing, responsibility, work ethic, working with other people. I mean, just, an environment that you're not used to in school. I mean, how do you think it's impacted your life thus far?
Well, I come from a low-income background, so I go to a school that focuses on minorities, and you experience a lot of different type of people there. You have people that come from gangs and people that are living in Palos Verdes, so there's definitely a variety, and you learn that, hey, some low-income kids definitely need this opportunity to actually get out there, understand what the work field is and why you have to get away from the hood and just work for what you're trying to get to. So
I mean, that's another important. I mean, that there's life beyond the boundaries.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's really important. What advice, I think more to Lauren, would you give to other young people either looking or struggling to find a job or an opportunity instead of, I mean, what motivated you? I mean, obviously you had a friend that told you about the program, but the kinds of things that might motivate a young person to say, well, I don't want to do anything this summer, I'm just going to hang out, to motivate sort of find out what the world's about.
Oh yeah, well, I grew up in a very traditional, conservative Korean household, so I'm a twin, so I have a twin brother, so he was valued more than I was. So when he was doing different activities, I was just like staying at home and all this stuff. And I realized one day in my life that you can't just listen to what everybody says. There's a point where you have to realize that it's your life and you're in charge of it. So whatever you want to do, you have to not settle for what you're given.
And so you followed the process, you filled out an application, you must have given a heck of an interview, you get picked, and you go to work, and then you find out maybe that's an area that you're going to study some other place because you sort of get a taste of it. And that's probably as important at this age.
Definitely.
It's better than being on a job 10 years and saying,
yeah, exactly.
Hey, dude, I don't like this job
That's right.
anymore.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
See, like I could be in college next year and majoring in environmental studies, and I could be miserable. I'll be saving like $30,000 just from this experience.
So you're a senior now, or you'll be a senior?
I am going to be a senior.
And then where do you think you'd like to go to school? I mean.
Oh man, I have 9 schools that I'm applying to this following fall, and they're all women's colleges in the East Coast. So I'm only applying there because
You like winners, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I like people who are very driven, and I like people who get what they want. And a lot of these women colleges have a lot of alumni networks that definitely offer.
Very big.
Yeah, they're huge, and they give you money to work.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So Walter, at Tesoro then, some of the young people sort of come and go, and they go on in their career paths.
Sure.
Are there opportunities for some of the young people to say, once they get into college and come back and say, hey, Walter, remember me? or maybe next summer they work in a different capacity, or are there long-term job opportunities for these young people?
That's a great question, Supervisor, and yes, there is. We recognize that, first, that not everyone is going to go to college. So some of the youth that go through our summer program come right back to us after they graduate from high school. We've had several do that. We've also had some go on to college, earn their degree in chemical engineering, and come back as engineers that work for us. We encourage that, but also it's important to recognize that not everyone will do that, and there are opportunities for those who choose a different path.
I mean, and it's a great opportunity. I would tell you, my chief of staff, I hired as an intern 20-some years ago when I was chief of staff to Dean Dane at the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's
Dean
come and
Dane,
gone, and he's back, and
Yeah.
it's been a great relationship over the years.
I think it's an extremely important thing for us to do, to keep in mind that those who go through our program always have a home. They can come back, they can apply for work, and we know if they've made it through our summer youth program, because it's a multifaceted program, that they've really accomplished something. And I think that our program is so unique that even when the youth go and apply for a job outside of our company, they show that they've graduated from our program. That weighs a lot with other companies. It really does.
It really is, because you're a major employer, number one.
Yep.
Number two, the fact probably everyone knows how many applications they get and how many interviews they do. And
that's right.
You know, and the Laurens of the world are very special because they did get picked. I mean,
and
you have your motivation, but
yes,
you presented that in a very positive way, and,
right,
and that speaks a lot for you, it speaks a lot for the company, and it's going to be good on the resume. So,
it is.
So anyway, I really appreciate both of you taking the time to be here. Lauren, I wish you the very, very best. You probably are not, there's no better example of what we're trying to do here through these programs than what you find out what you like, what you don't like, and it's better at this age, but yet you still do your job, and you were very successful in your interview, and Walter liked you, and but you got a great cadre of teammates there this year, that class. They were pretty impressive. You had a great time. So anyway,
Supervisor, we appreciate the time that you've taken to not only advocate for hiring for the summer, but talking with us today. It's much appreciated.
Well, we thank you both for taking the time to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be back.
Do you love barbecue? Dills does it. Is Mexican cuisine your weakness? Dills does it. Is romance in order? Dills does it. Join Peter Dills, your Southern California food critic, as he discovers the best in dining, extraordinary food and wine, and new culinary experiences. Dining with Dills, Charter Channel 188, Saturdays and Sundays at 7 p.m.
Thank you again for tuning in to Dial In. I want to thank our special guests for taking the time to join me today, Cynthia Banks, Walter Neal, and Lauren Ahn. Los Angeles County is a melting pot, with residents of different ages, ethnicities, and backgrounds requiring a variety of services. Relying on an incredible network of community-based organizations, our Department of Community and Senior Services can tap into the services and programs necessary to serve our many residents. Los Angeles County, as you've heard me say before, is the ultimate safety net, and the Department of Community and Senior Services helps those most in need. As the jack of all trades, we have built one of the most successful jobs programs in the entire country, providing meals to thousands of homebound seniors, providing dispute resolution services, and much more. The Department of Community and Senior Services offers something for residents of all ages. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dial In, and I hope you will join us next month for an all-new show.
You have the time to give, and your country needs you. Take what you learned during your life and apply those skills to your community. Shape tomorrow by being a mentor and tutor for children. Make independence a reality for people to continue to make their house their home. Make a difference today. Get involved.